for everything.
Alhamdulillah.
Been our loss, alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah, everything's God give me.
Yes, guys, hope you're doing well. It's Amin from the NHU podcast. Today, I'm joined by not one, but two very special guests. Do you want to introduce yourself, lads?
Yeah, so I'm Ethan. I'm the business owner at SFK Sport Group, and I'm joined with Josh today, who's working for us at the moment as well.
Hi guys.
Cool. Thanks for coming, guys. So, where do you guys come from?
So
Travelled in.
so I'm from Loughborough, to be fair, so it's not far for me to go.
Yeah.
Nottingham for me, so a little bit of a way, but not too bad.
Good. Nice and local to the uni.
Yeah.
So, obviously, how you guys came about was obviously you came in, you contacted me, you said, hi, we've got this, let's get a podcast. So we're down at Loughborough, going to go over a lot of things, not just football, but business as well. So do you want to talk about yourselves first, how you guys started growing up, what got you into this kind of industry?
Yeah.
And then we'll expand from that.
Yeah. So obviously when I was at primary school, I was always one of those kids that got involved playing football. And from there, just playing with friends and enjoying the game, I just took it more and more seriously as I got older. So I started playing for a local club. It was Loughborough Manual. Then I played for Loughborough Dynamo. And from that, I got picked up by Leicester when I was about 12. So I was with the academy system there for a couple of seasons. And yeah, I think from that point, even when I got released, I was still very much adamant that I wanted to just keep playing football and enjoying it. And throughout my career of football, then I just thought, if I'm not going to play professional football, how can I, make a career out of it and do it as my everyday work? So as it's progressed, I've then played non-league football now, played over in Canada a little bit as well, whilst I was studying there. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think when I came back from Canada, it was very much a case of how can I make football my work? So coming on as a coach to begin with SFK was a great opportunity for me to kind of kick on and try and create something that was all about football and all about how I can work within that industry.
Yeah, staying within the industry, that's good.
Yeah.
And business partner over there, do you want to talk about your kind of intro?
Yeah, so similar to Ethan, obviously growing up through primary school, very sporting, got involved in loads of sporting activities in the PE and everything. And yeah, just playing locally for West Bridgeford Colts in Nottingham. So one of the biggest grassroots teams that side. And yeah, at a tournament got picked up for Forest when I was 8. I spent all the way through up until I was 22, so I made it all the way through to the under-23 group, just playing. Picked up my coaching badges along the way, which is kind of what led me to joining up with SFK last year. I was kind of looking for a platform to really express myself, use my coaching values that I've got, and luckily SFK have provided that for me. So since then I've been playing semi-professional and doing the football coaching alongside, whilst also doing a tiny bit of other work as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's led to both of you coming at the same time doing SFK.
Yeah.
And I'd like to ask about SFK as well. What kind of, I know you said earlier you want to stay within the industry, stay within football.
Yeah.
That's why I made this coaching business.
Mm-hmm.
But was there something else that made you to want to partner up and set this thing up?
Yeah, so me and Josh are actually friends through mutuals. And we just were both aware of each other playing and the coaching that we're both doing. So when there's an opportunity for us to coach together and have Josh on board and come and do some bits for us, it made sense. With his background in football, it was a no-brainer. And it's been great to just take things to the next level and to keep progressing that from here is really exciting.
Mm-hmm. That's good. And how did you get to starting it up? Because usually starting is the hardest thing. And then once the ball's rolling, it's a lot easier to get done.
Yeah, so I'm actually quite fortunate in the sense of coming onto the business with SFK. Is my colleagues Joel and Hamza that were there before me. So Hamza set up the business. Joel was then next in line, and then I came on board about 3 years ago. So me actually starting up the business wasn't really something I had to go through, which is I'm always going to be so grateful for the opportunity to come on board on that level, without having to do the initial startup, because like everyone knows, starting a business is really difficult. But I think coming on board and then showing a desire to really kick on and then become a business partner has been something that's been really, really rewarding, and obviously has come with a lot of hard work and a lot of dedication. But it's been really good to have that journey, and then to now have Josh join in as well and hopefully take that same route has been brilliant.
Yeah. And with coaching business, because from my personal experience, obviously coming from London and being here at Loughborough University, there's a lot of coaching businesses.
Yeah.
So obviously there's competition, isn't there, for people to train, like natural competition that happens with everything.
Yeah.
And how does yours stand out?
I think we look at trying to shape players as a whole. So we don't look at players as just, all right, when they're with us, we're just focusing on, just technical sessions or just this or just that. It's how can we develop players holistically. So we try and looking at their S&C, we're looking at their nutrition, and we look at them as a player, and we make everything very specific to them. So I think that's one of the main ways I'd say we stand out. And I think even things like this, we come in and talking on podcasts, you don't see many other sports companies and their owners and their business partners doing that sort of thing. So I think it's trying to find ways that you can, branch out and make yourself known and get recognised for what you do.
Exposure.
Exposure.
Yeah.
I mean, it's good. It's one thing providing a good service, but it's another thing being recognised and having good exposure with it, because ultimately that's what brings more customers.
Yeah. I'll just jump in on that. I think obviously, like what Ethan says, like player care is so important these days. Like we're trying to offer a lot more than literally just teaching them how to play football.
Yeah.
And then it's like you build that trust, and then word gets spread about how good these guys are. And like I say, it's just, I think it helps both sides really.
Yeah.
Yeah, word of mouth, even from my experience, is so underrated.
Yeah.
And like, if you do a good job and you do something honestly and with integrity, obviously, and you care about someone, they're naturally gonna, forward you to this guy.
100%.
That's how I got so many guests. Just I do good with someone, and then he tells his mate, he tells his mate.
Yeah.
And in terms of SFK as a whole, with your age groups, do you just stick to kind of younger guys or older guys, or just a wide range?
We do a massive range, to be fair. We have been very focused on primary age kids before, because a lot of what we do is running holiday camps throughout the school the school holidays, and then some work in schools as well with after school clubs, PE lessons, lunch clubs, breakfast clubs. But yeah, a lot of what we did was primary age focused, but now we kind of we've branched out a lot in the last few years, and we've now got a complete package. So we've got players of all ages that we work with now. I think the really exciting thing is being able to work with players who are at semi-pro or professional level in the adult men's game, and that's been really exciting to start taking the steps into that sort of industry in the last year or so as well.
Yeah, and which one do you find kind of more demanding? Because obviously the semi-pro, it takes a lot of, you have to get things right because they're at a high level.
Yeah.
But with the kids as well, you have to be kind of focused to make sure that they learn out of it because they're younger and things. So how do you kind of get that?
Yeah, I think with semi-pro players, it's about, like I said before, understanding their needs and understanding what they want from the sessions that you're going to be doing, understanding their strengths and weaknesses, and then really you just make it very centered around that. Again, it's different for every player, and that's why we want to make everything we do very specific to players and their individual needs. But yeah, from a semi-pro to a kid or a younger child that's training with us, really the main difference is the intensity that you push them to. So with a kid, obviously you're not going to make him do suicide sprints or anything silly like that.
No.
Whereas with a semi-pro, you can do that and you can give them a bit of a push. And I think it's that level of banter that you can have with them as well. It's quite enjoyable with some of the older lads.
Yeah, making them do 10 lengths.
Yeah, exactly.
And
Yeah.
everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
And with that kind of how I'm talking about semi-pro and things like that, was there any times where you help players in off-season whilst they get ready, for their club or whatever?
Yeah, so I mean, Josh was working with Alex Myton over, was it January time, was it?
Yeah, so he's a player who I knew from my days at Forest, and he's now currently playing in America for San Diego in the MLS, and he's absolutely killing it, and it's good to see. Like, we did a session with him, and he really enjoyed it, and it's helped us get further recommendations of what we did, which is nice to obviously see. And obviously he was a top pro. And like I say, it's good to work with different people. You get a different understanding, different skill levels, and you learn a lot from each player that you work with.
Yeah, definitely. I think with that as well, obviously, that was, like you say, it was January, wasn't it? For him, that was the pre-season for the MLS, so it's kind of different to the season that runs over here. So that was a pre-season kind of preparation for him. But we will be doing more this summer as well. So we've spoke with a few teams from the Midlands here that we're going to run pre-season programs for. And then on individual player level as well, we'll do one-to-one sessions for their preparation in pre-season.
I'd say it's definitely the most important part. Like, some people think it's just a time off, but it's one bit where you can like take that further step against your opponent. Like everyone's competing for places against each other in
It's
the
true,
same
yeah.
team.
Yeah.
So if you get that edge over that other opponent, then you know what I mean, you're one step ahead of them. So
Yeah.
like I say, we're looking at trying to do more pre-season training for players. And yeah, I think like I say, it's definitely beneficial.
Yeah. And how does pre-season work in terms of like for footballers? Because like you said, obviously it's not just a time to relax, but there's this misconception I think that they just go to, you know, South Spain, just
Yeah.
sit for the summer or whatever. Is
Yeah.
that true or not?
I think obviously it's a long season of football, and you do like put a lot of your time and effort into it. So you definitely want a few weeks just to, do you know what I mean, relax, chill out, and then after that it's building it back up. And over pre-season, like you say, we try and run these programs where they're specific to each person, but we know exactly where we're going to get them from when they start with us to them before the season. Like you want them at 100%, if not a bit more, going into the season, so then they're already, like I say, one step ahead of that person that they're fighting with to get their place in the team.
Yeah, and everyone's competing. Exactly,
Everyone's competing,
for the
yeah.
same position and things like that. And
Yeah.
with your experiences as well at Forest, obviously you went through that. Forest was, you know, top club, high demanding, loads of great players.
Yeah.
And now they're, you know, doing very well. How was it like for you, you know, during that off-season kind of thing?
Yeah, so like I say, as soon as the season finishes, take a couple of weeks off, downtime, spend time with the family and friends, let your body recover, and then it's straight back into it. You obviously don't want to hit the ground running too hard, but you build yourself up so that by the time you're actually coming back in with your club, you're near enough like training fit, not quite match fit because you've not played games, but you want to be up there with one of the best in your fitness drills.
Yeah.
Because that's what the coaches are looking for.
Yeah.
They're looking to see the players that have put in that effort away from the club, which shows that you're really like taking on that pride within yourself.
And in terms of kind of individual training, when you were at Forest, you didn't have SFK, did you? Was it just
No.
you doing things yourself or with another coaching?
Yeah, so obviously at Forest I like gained a lot of knowledge off professional coaches, so I use that and then use it to myself to then put that into my own training. So I'm a bit of a fitness freak in terms of I want to like be really fit myself, help others be fit. I think it's healthy, it's good for you. So like I say, using that knowledge that I gained off them coaches, I then use it to do fitness drills, running drills, gym based exercises, and that's all stuff that we're trying to implement into SFK to then obviously help people for pre-season or any time throughout the season, because it's so important these days.
Yeah.
There's more to it than just obviously kicking a ball around on the pitch.
Yeah.
Exactly. Especially nowadays. Like before, you could have gotten away with it.
Yeah.
kind of,
Yeah.
but then now, everything's about, you know,
Yeah.
physicality, technicality as well.
So physically demanding the game now.
Yeah.
Even at any level, like
Yeah.
us guys playing non-league, but then you see it up at the Premier League, other leagues around the world. All of them is so physically demanding now
Yeah.
that you need that as well as being technically and tactically good.
Yeah.
Yeah. And in terms of SFK, there's obviously football has a lot of other disciplines, like you said. You know, you've got your fitness, you've got your dribbling, you've got this. Which one does which in the company, or is it shared?
Oh, it's shared, yeah. So within the football sessions and programs we provide, me and Josh will always bump heads and go through these things together, and we'll just add in bits and bobs where we think we can help each other. So we might have this S&C program that we're trying to write. We'll sit down together, have a look through it, make it as best we can before that then goes out to anyone. Same with all the training drills that we do, even if it's just a session of Josh's or a session of mine that we're not going to be at there together with. It's an individual session for us that we're delivering. We'll still bump heads and just talk through session plans, ideas, and just try and bounce off each other with that.
So in terms of like S&C or dribbling or things like that, both of you are kind of, or all of you are kind of all round, so you can do each bit with no problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like to say you learn off one another. Like every day you're still learning off another coach, so it's good to like come up with different ideas. Like someone might be better at this, someone might be better at this, and then obviously coming together, you then learn that, and one of you can take that to another session which you might have not used before. So like you say, you're just keeping everything with a load of variety, really. Worst thing is to do a session and your players looking bored or not interested. So like I say, we try and mix it up, keep everyone, do you know what I mean, on their toes, ready to try something new.
Yeah. And in terms of, like you said, with you and your partners, obviously you share things, right? In terms of a business, because I do everything myself. I'm very different to you guys. Yeah. I'm selfish, right? I do everything myself, editing
Want all the
myself.
glory.
Yeah, exactly. Glory hunter, get everything myself. But with you guys, obviously, I've spoken to loads of guests and I always see a similar theme. You know, I say this again and again. Apologies if I'm repeating myself, but there's always this thing of finding like-minded people.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
obviously, all of you come from football. You know,
Mm.
like whether it's Forest or coming through Leicester Academy,
Yeah.
things like that, and then you collided. You had similar mindsets, and you went up and set up a business.
Mm.
So the question is for you guys: how do you kind of share a business? I'm not talking about the financial side.
Yeah.
I'm talking about kind of the business side. How do you share it without kind of clashing heads? Because some guy might want to do this, you might
Yeah.
want to do that.
You mean like the workload and the ideas, or just
Exactly, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So I think really, like you say, when you're with like-minded people, a lot of the time they aren't really issues that crop up as much because you all share a vision, you all share a goal. And I think when that's the case, things fall into place a lot more seamlessly than you might think. That's not to say that we have opposing ideas at times. It's just about how you communicate and have respect for each other in those moments and navigate them as best you can. I think a lot of the time we all see eye to eye, which is quite crazy to think because there's 4 or 5 of us that are making big decisions or making different projects, different ideas all together. But yeah, a lot of the time, it seemed as if we're in alignment with what we want to do, and
Yeah.
I think because we all got a shared goal and we all know where it's going, we all know where we're heading. That helps a lot.
Yeah, it might sound surprising, but there's genuinely
Yeah.
we, like you say, we're all like-minded people, so we all get on, and
Yeah.
it's good to share your different ideas. And if someone does disagree, it's not in a bad way. The reaction, it's, do you know what I mean? How can we use that idea to
Yeah.
actually implement it with what we've already got?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's with a
Best
lot
way
of-
to be, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah,
definitely.
yeah. And a lot of things, kind of businesses as well, most of them unfortunately kind of crumble when there's different ideas because you
Yeah.
got this guy saying, "Oh, I do more to the company. You should guys follow my idea, or you should do that." And was there an example where you two kind of had a disagreement or something? Not a disagreement, but you had one idea, you had another, and you kind of figured it out.
I think the only time would probably be if we're trying to do a session together. It's just
Yeah.
you might bring one drill and I bring another.
Yeah.
But then again, when that happens, it's just right. So how do we merge them together
Exactly.
to make it so that both ideas fit in and it's beneficial for the players still?
Yeah.
I think if you are in an environment where you've got to work with other people and you're very set in your ways and you don't want to hear other people's ideas, you're always going to be finding challenges because people, everyone's got different ideas, everyone's got different ways of seeing things. So if you're very stuck in your ways, there's only so far you can go with being that way. I think it's important to just share ideas and be open in what you want to bring and what you want to hear from others as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Going on with what Ethan said there, like I say, just being open, be transparent with each other.
Yeah.
Because, like you say, you're not always going to agree on the ideas, and some of the sessions that we do, Ethan kind of comes up with an idea, and then I might have a little variation of how we can make it better, and then if he doesn't think so, then like I say, we'll communicate with each other and make sure it's, because at the end of the day, you're providing a service for players, obviously, so you've got to take it away from yourselves and put that focus on that player, because it's not about us, it's about them.
Yeah, and tweak it at least, or
Yeah.
do something like that.
Yeah.
And in terms of kind of taking ideas, because you say maybe you come up with one drill and then you say something and you tweak it and it ends up better, right? Have you learned things from any mentors or things like that helped you kind of adapt your game at SFK?
Yeah, I think, to be honest, when I talk about even my coaching career, I think I've learned the most by playing. And I think this is something that's really important as well. There's a lot of people that try and coach that have never played a game of football in their life, and you can always tell.
It's not gonna work.
They just don't understand the game the same way. And I think from playing and then just going through loads of different sessions with high level coaches that have coached me, I think that's where I've learned most of my my ideas and concepts of football from. And then also obviously looking and watching games constantly and trying to learn all the time and how you can be a better coach and how you can implement different ways of training, different concepts of the game, different principles of the game. And I think just being mad on football and just obsessing with it and constantly finding ways to try and get better. That's how you get your ideas, really.
Yeah, I was gonna second that, really. Just obviously it helps having played in the game, but if you haven't, I think just investing in your own time, watching videos, watching Match of the Day, watching all the Premier League games, writing down sessions, look back on what you did previously, and then coming back to where you are now in the present time, then you can obviously make changes to it, or you can copy it if not. But definitely writing down session plans, watching videos, analysis of games, any type of game you can get your hands on, like I say, that's probably what I'd be doing if I hadn't played in the game. But when you have played in the game, like you say, you do just get that natural understanding of it. And when players come to you asking for sessions, you straight away understand what they need to improve on or what they actually want to get better at.
Just based on your experience, you just roll back the tapes.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah.
Yeah,
See what they have to do.
And that's the thing as well. When you are coaching on a regular basis, you'll just think of drills like that because you might see one drill you've done and then you just tweak it. So you just reflect on the sessions you've done. You think about sessions coming up and you just twist things to make them better all the time. And I think that's the way you got to go about things, especially in coaching. It's all about adapting.
Yeah, and even with me as well, with the whole podcast thing as well. Like some people call me man or whatever, but whoever I have, like whether it's player or this or that, I do like deep research. Like I watch if they've. So most of them, it's been their first ever podcast, so I can't look back at tapes. But if they've done one before, I go over the video, kind of. There's this thing called like YouTube transcribe or whatever. Transcribe it, chuck in ChatGPT, get some topics out of it.
Yeah.
Like, you've got to research the people you work with. That's with you as well. You research your clients, you look at their needs, obviously, and then you adapt.
So you use your experiences of what you've done before, and then you can do you know what I mean, put them into practice. And like you say, research is really important, and there's loads of different ways of doing it in whatever kind of work you do. But especially for us, it's more, do you know what I mean, watching games, finding out what that individual needs are, to then when it actually comes to the session, do you know what I mean.
One thing we've done with sessions as well, which has helped, certainly one of my clients who's really, really big on it, is we record the sessions that we do. And I think that's been really helpful. So you literally just set my phone up on a tripod, record the session that you're doing, and then when the session's over, you send those videos across to the player, and they can analyse it and see where they think they've gone wrong, send it back to us, we give notes on it, and we just go through, just that tape on what they've done, and you can really give good feedback then, because you sometimes miss things when it's when it's fast paced and you're playing, he's doing a drill quickly, you can't always catch everything that, that might have gone wrong, because it is finer details with a lot of these things, and football is a finer detail sport. It's a 5-yard pass might seem simple, but if he's not fizzed it in as hard as you might expect a good player to do, how can you tweak that by watching over the videos and seeing where where his foot might have connected wrong with the ball, or is his body too upright, or is he too hunched over the ball, or vice versa. Finer details. Yeah.
You can also watch your coaching techniques off them videos that you record as well. Like it's not just the player that you're obviously the main priority is looking at the player and what can you improve on from watching that video back. Also the coaching techniques, like the way you come across, like your body language, the communication. Like obviously when you're speaking with like primary age kids, like primary schools, you need your information to be clear and simple. Whereas obviously as they get older to that like semi-professional, professional level, that's when you use like more like terminology that they will understand. So it's definitely watching back on those videos and understanding what you've done right, what you've done wrong, and then take that into the next coaching sessions.
And even with the kind of, you said earlier, with the whole finer details, like I remember seeing these videos online on Instagram or whatever of, for example, players that are very injury prone, like when they slow-mo it down, they see the way they land or they see the way they run, they say, their ankle's at a certain angle. But in fast-flowing football, you're not going to see that.
No.
And was there instances where you guys kind of, kind of tweaked that, you saw something they did wrong, you looked over it in slow-mo and they were like, hold on, you need to sort this out, otherwise this is going to happen, X, Y, Z.
Yeah, I think one of the key examples I can use is, like I said there, with it might just be you doing a passing drill with one of your players, and the way that he's played a pass is just not quite right, and it might be he's leaning back too much as he's playing a pass, and those things are kind of obvious in the speed of the game, but they might be then actually, well, I can see that he's leaning back, but then when I've looked over the video, his foot might not be quite as locked as you would expect it to be when you're trying to play that pass, and it's a bit loose, so that the pass is bobbly. Whereas, like, can you lock the foot out, lock the ankle out, make it strong, and then that pass is then punched in. I think little things like that. That's examples I can think of with players I've worked out with at the minute. But yeah.
And is that a SFK kind of thing that you guys have a level of care where you look over all the small kind of fine details, or is that, you think, industry wide?
Go on, you go.
I mean, I'd say industry wide, but definitely for ourselves, like obviously we're trying to grow as well, so we're posting content, so we're always looking through every single video. And like I say, it shows that importance of you taking that player care for afterwards. Like at the end of the day, you're trying to help them out, and you're trying to improve your own coaching ability. So looking back at these videos, it's a big part of it now. And I think throughout the industry, people are using it more and more, and we're hearing more about video analysis, different companies coming in, using that to obviously all in all help players out.
Yeah. And at Forest, did you guys have the kind of same thing where you have coaches that are specifically made for those smaller kind of things?
Yeah, so at most teams now, you'll get someone whose like job is to do video analysis, and you'll have group sessions where let's say you've got a game on a Saturday. Throughout that week, that coach will be watching games back of the opposition that you're going to be playing. So then come the Saturday, you can do a video.
Yeah.
Is that better?
Yeah.
You can do a video that is on the opposition. They would have broken down, let's say, the different phases of the game, like defense, attack, counter, transitions in defense, in attacking. And do you know what I mean? You'll do some analysis on that as a team, but then also if you want any individual stuff, you can always go up to them, ask them. Or I found it more at academies, you would have it in your schedule where every so often you'll have a ILP meeting, which is like your individual learning plan.
Oh, okay.
And that's where they really break down into finer details, everything, like the different phases of the game, the different aspects, technical, tactical, physical, social, mentally, because obviously it's a big part of that now.
That's true, yeah.
But more I've grown into non-league, I don't see it as much, but it's definitely still an option for players to use. And like I say, it's growing more in the game as well.
Yeah, that's so cool as well. You know, when I hear these things, like when I hear you say how you have this coach where you could go to kind of like drop-in sessions or whatever, like everything's laid out for you now. Like you can just, for example, I remember back in, when Ronaldo joined Man U or whatever, you hear all these stories go like, he got up to the personal trainer and be like, I want to work on this, I want to work on that. And then, but not many people do that.
No,
People just train and then go home.
Yeah.
But
I think it definitely comes a lot within yourself. Like say, you always used to hear about Ronaldo being the first one on the training pitch and leaving at the end, and that's obviously probably why he's the player that he is today. And obviously, not everyone. I wasn't like that. Not like you're not going to get that out of everyone, but there's definitely clubs and stuff provide these things for you, so you should definitely try and use them because it's only going to benefit yourself, and you'll see how it has in the future.
Yeah.
And what about you at Leicester when you were younger? When you were a young, kid at Leicester, did they have these things, or is it just as you get older and more kind of?
Yeah, there's always that element of having IDPs, so you've got your individual development plans, and there's always feedback constantly about where I can improve, where you can get better. But yeah, they're more, like you say, they're more focused the higher you go up in the age groups, because I was still fairly young at that point. But that's something that's pretty much used across all academies. So yeah,
that's going to help you develop as well.
Yeah.
And let's talk about kind of your personal playing careers. When you were at kind of Nottingham and then you're at Baseford now, what's the kind of big difference between Championship club and Nottingham and then Baseford in terms of how they deliver things, how they play certain ways? Or
So I'd obviously say, being at Forest, it was full time. So I was, from the age of 16, I was in every day of the week, obviously having games and whatnot on different days, because at that young age you don't have a set schedule, whereas now my games are always on a Saturday or a Tuesday. So back when you're coming up through 16 to 21, you might have a game on a Monday or a Friday, so your schedule's a little bit all over the place, but you're still full time, whereas at Baseford it's only semi-professional, so you lose that full time aspect of it, but still in those part-time hours I'd say you're still gaining as much out of it as what you would full-time, because you're older now, so you understand what you need to get out of the game. Even though it might not require all of your time, you're making the most of your time when you're there.
And when you have time off, is this where you work on coaching and work on yourself as well? Yeah,
so like I say, being semi-professional, you have a lot more time to work on yourself, focus on your other career and stuff, and that's where with SFK I try and obviously polish off my coaching techniques, let's say, and that's through doing more sessions, doing online learning at home. I'm trying to currently build more of my business social side of SFK rather than my actual coaching on the pitch, because I feel like I've got a good understanding of that. I want to understand more of the business side of how it works in that sense. So at the minute, also because I'm injured, I'm not able to actually do physical coaching. So it's allowed me to, do you know what I mean, put a lot of focus into that over these last few months.
Yeah, podcast is the right thing as well.
Yeah,
get the-
podcast is
get
right. I
the
think it's
socials up.
another step, isn't it?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And what about you as well, like, in terms of kind of the differences between being at Leicester Academy?
Yeah.
Because they've had some really nice young players. That's a creaky one.
Yeah,
They
I know.
had some really nice kind of young players come through.
Yeah.
And they're obviously doing great now.
Yeah, I think obviously for me, because it's quite a big time gap from when I went from being in the academy setup to then playing semi-pro, like in the last 3 or 4 years, kind of hard to compare them, I guess. But from what I can remember when I'm at Leicester, it's just a case of the training load is a lot higher. You're in a lot more often, and you get like dailies from school. So back then I was like buzzing on days. I'm like, oh, I don't have to go to school today. I've got dailies. I'm going to Leicester, like, and that sort of thing is brilliant as well. But I think now comparing that to training twice a week at non-league, it's like it's different. But I still love it, and I think you never really lose that love for the game. And I think having that difference now from being in regularly all the time, training in an academy setup, to then twice a week and then maybe a game at the weekend, it's very different. But I quite like the balance, because you don't just think purely about football. You get a nice time, you get a nice balance of time away from the game throughout the week, where you might be focusing on loads of other things. But then when you're there, it's just brilliant, like going and training with the lads, having a good banter with them and everything, and just being in amongst a group of lads that love football as well. Is you can't really beat it. It's just
What
no
more
better
could you
feeling.
ask for,
Yeah,
yeah.
especially when you're winning.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and that's with anything really. As long as you have a passion for what you do, you can do it for days.
Yeah.
As sad as it sounds, I can edit for days.
Yeah.
Because I like it.
Yeah.
I like going over, clipping this, clipping that,
Yeah, man. Yeah.
and posting videos or whatever. And in terms of challenges you guys have faced as a business owner and as a footballer, do you want to go around kind of what's one thing you faced, kind of that was a challenge in your life and also at SFK, and how you guys overcome it?
Yeah, so I'll speak on a football perspective first. I think the main thing is how many people play football, and the competition is ridiculous in terms of how competitive it is. It's crazy. I think you've always got to be looking at ways to try and improve as a player, and if you're not doing that, you quickly fall behind. And I think you've got to put so much effort and hours in to make it to even a half decent level these days. So I think from a footballing perspective, challenge wise, I think it's just taking that challenge on of, if I'm gonna play football at a decent level, there's a lot of work to be done, and there's a lot of sacrifice you got to make. Your Saturdays are given up for games every week, but you love it, but it's still a sacrifice. You've only got one day a week then where you might be able to rest, which is Sunday. And I think challenge wise, playing under managers that might not believe in you, they might not rate you as much of a player as you might like, being on the bench or struggling with maybe as much game time as you'd expect. That's always one of the biggest challenges I think I've faced in my career. Obviously being released by Leicester as well, that was difficult at the time. I think challenges in terms of football, the main ones are setbacks. Like I said, there's loads of different examples you can use, but setbacks and how you deal with that and how you deal with failure, I think that the players that play at a serious level are the ones that have probably overcome the most setbacks. And that's the thing that people don't always realise about football, is it's not how good you are on the ball or how technically gifted you are necessarily. It's, are you willing to, put the work in when no one's watching, and when things are really, really difficult, and when people aren't believing in you, and when, things are getting difficult, can you just keep pushing?
When times are tough, you've got to
Exactly.
lock in. And,
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, following on from that, I'd just say injuries. So at the minute, I broke my ankle in March, so I've been not able to walk for 3 months, and I've kind of used that time to be productive, and I think it's the best thing to do, otherwise mentally you can really get to a low point. So putting your mind to something and sticking at it. So like I say, I've been trying to work on my social and business aspects of SFK. And having this time being injured has allowed me to do that. And like I said, I think if you get injured, use your time best you can. You never know what's going to happen. Another challenge, obviously, I was released at quite an old age of 22, and it's like Ethan was a lot younger than me, so you don't know how someone's feeling at that younger age compared to when you're a little bit older and you understand more
It happens.
Yeah, it happens. So, but like I said, I think you just gotta not be too downhearted about it and try your best to, do you know what I mean, get back on the road, get running again, and find that passion again. Because for a little bit, I was a little bit like, oh, this is like, what do I do now?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? You go from doing something you love and doing every day to then, well, it's gone now, but you just have to try and find the positives out of it, no matter where that is. So, like, a lot of my ex-teammates playing all over the place now, so people are in different countries, different levels, but I think at the end of the day, just love where you're at and what you do.
As long as you're playing, isn't it?
Yeah, as long as you're playing, yeah, that's the most important thing, I think. And you never know, later in your career, you might find that you're playing higher than what you are now. It's just football's
Patience.
patience game, timing. Like I say, if managers like you, it will hopefully fall in place for anyone.
Yeah, and I saw this thing as well. Like you said earlier, you mentioned it with kind of successful men or successful people in general. The best ones are the ones who have kind of the highest stress tolerance.
Yeah.
Like if you can tolerate stress, you could tolerate this manager's, having a go at you.
Yeah.
You've got an injury, you're trying to come back, you got a gym session, you got this, you got that. So many things going on in your life. If you could tolerate that, you're more likely to thrive, because others just crumble. They're just like, I quit, I give up.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
Yeah. I think, if you've got a capacity to really push yourself and take on, obviously within reason, take on a lot that you do in your life, you're always going to head for a good direction. And I think the important part of that as well is enjoying the journey that you're on as well. People get really focused on an end goal and, really caught up on, if I'm not here, like, I'm not going to be satisfied, I'm not going to be happy. Like, there's so much, I think there's so much joy in the day-to-day journey that you're on. And I think in enjoying that is really important. Otherwise, I don't think you'll ever truly be happy.
Yeah, never forget like that feeling of just enjoying the game. Because 1 minute you're young and you're enjoying playing, let's say like 5-a-side or something.
Yeah, man.
Next thing you know, you're playing 11v11 and you're running around, you're absolutely knackered, and you're thinking, oh my, this isn't what it used to be like.
It's not what I signed up for.
No,
Just getting smashed every week.
so,
Like,
definitely
it's different.
and enjoy it, keep enjoying it, and I think just like take a bit of pressure off yourself. Sometimes everyone's guilty of it. You put so much pressure on yourself, and then that's when it gets the better of you. So
yeah, I think challenges wise with football as well, I think one of the main things I found actually was, I'm an attacking player, so I play as an attacking mid, or I've played on the wing a bit as well. Going into men's football and just getting absolutely smashed by somebody for the first time is so humbling. It's unbelievable. Like, there's no need for them to come in as hard as they do, but it just happens. As soon as you're in that men's game, it just hits you straight away. And I think once you've had that, it really does humble you as a player. And I think challenge-wise, you see a lot of young lads, they might be coming through they might have come from academy football. It's quite pretty to come playing on league and you just get absolutely nailed by some guy that's a plumber or something.
Yeah,
like Keith's just at it, just trying to nail people. And I think people get, like, young lads especially coming through, getting used to that is a big challenge. I think I found that myself at first. I think it took me a good half a season to just accept that, right, I just need to knock it past this guy and take the hit, like, just for the sake of the team.
Fancy stuff, just get the ball from that end to that end.
Yeah.
So, what about you as a defender, obviously?
Yeah, I'd say the same. Like, you go into it thinking that it's going to be the same as academy football, and you quickly realise that it just isn't. Like you say, you've got all these older blokes coming in, smashing you. They don't care what they do to you.
Yeah, they don't
as
care.
long as their team's winning, then that's all that matters. So, like you say, you're doing other things during the week. So you come to the Saturday, all you want is that 3 points. But I'd just say, young lads, go out if you get the opportunity, go out and do it, because you'll learn a lot about yourself, and you'll learn a lot about the different sides of the game that you might not seen before in academies, or if you're playing at that younger age group. So yeah, definitely go out and do it, and you'll face some challenges, but you'll overcome them, and you'll soon hopefully be that other person where you're
the
one doing it.
Taking out on the
when your legs
Especially
are gone.
if you're a defender.
Yeah, when your legs are gone, you just got no other choice.
Yeah, and I heard this quote. I don't know if I'm quoting it correct, but everyone has a plan until they get punched in the back of the head or something.
Yeah.
Like that. Right. And when life's, punch you, that's a real wake up. For me especially, with my whole podcast thing, I thought it's gonna be all, jolly, running through the fields, hi, come on, sit down, let's get a camera out. But there were times where I've been, guys didn't turn up, cost me a lot of money, not responding, hassle, stress, all of this. And I'm guessing same with you guys, all these kind of problems,
Yeah.
and they help you, don't you? Kind of,
Yeah,
they
man.
teach you a lot.
It's like I said, innit, with your journey, you've got to appreciate even the struggles, and I think you can never let the highs get too high, never let the lows get too low, because life changes so fast. You just got to appreciate the journey and the time that you're in, because it's never going to be the same as what you're feeling in that moment, and everything's always there can always be a light at the end of the tunnel, and things could also always get worse. So
Exactly,
you just
yeah.
got to be prepared to just roll with the punches, I think.
Yeah, that's exactly what I heard from one of my guests, actually.
Really?
Word for word.
No way.
It's like, there are highs, there are lows,
Yeah.
lows. Because it's just a wave, isn't it?
I think that's quite a footballing phrase, to be fair. I think
Exactly, yeah.
I think it's very, very much apparent in football because of the nature of the game. You know, you might get battered 6-0 one week and you're away. You might win 1-0 in the last minute or something, and there's no better feeling than that. But you've gone from that to that. So I think it's very much.
I'd definitely say it's not plain sailing. Like, it's not one straight line. It's like you say, it's like a wave, up and down, constantly. You might have a little bit of a spell where it's all the way up here, high,
Top of the world.
top of the world. You're winning every game. You're playing unbelievable.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? You know you're going to be in the team sheet. You're scoring.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it's just down the other end, and you're thinking, "Oh my God, how has this happened?"
Yeah. No, man.
It's about how you adapt to that when you're there. Do you still have that same hunger? Because so many people, like, when they're on top of the world, they have all the energy, right? But it's about when you have the energy when things are low.
Yeah,
you
can
know,
you do
when
it then?
no one believes in you, when it's by yourself, funds are low, right? You got all this, all that. And in terms of these kind of challenges, right? You already said, the challenges you faced as a player. What about moments where you were, on top of the world and then things came, unfortunately crumbling down, if that's happened? How did you kind of wake up from that slumber? Because you're usually in a slumber. And for me, when it happened, December period, when I had, 2 guests, they just didn't turn up. And then I had to come back here to Loughborough. I was at a low, right? I was like, I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah.
Just looking for handouts, right? But something kind of clicked and I got out of that slumber. What about you guys?
I think one of the main ones for me I can think of is actually earlier this season I got injured, and I literally got injured whilst scoring. So as I took my shot, I did something to my groin. I went over and celebrated, didn't feel anything just because of the pure adrenaline. And then I started running back into for kick-off, and I thought, hang on a minute, that's not good. And then I tried to run on it a bit, and I was like, no, I can't do that. Like I just went down, came off straight away with the physio. And I think, like you say, you go from that high of scoring a goal, that euphoria that you feel is just unmatched, like you can't beat it. And then coming off and then being injured, I was then on the sidelines for most of the rest of that season now, from then till now. And I'm only just coming back from another injury that I did as I came back. But I think, managing going from that high to then that low of being injured, at that point wasn't too bad really, to be honest, because I felt like, I've been playing well here, so it's just about focusing and really smashing out the rehab and doing it as best I can so I can come back stronger. But I think that the challenge with injuries is always coming back too soon, because everyone wants to just get playing again.
You need patience.
Yeah. I definitely learned that this season.
Yeah. What about you?
I'd probably say, so younger is, I had a stage where I was like, wow, I'm in like the top 3 area in my age group, like playing up every week, couple age groups up, and then all of a sudden you find out that that's not the case, and you get brought back down to your age group, and it's like, because in academies, the ones that get put up to the age group are the ones seen as, these guys are going to be the ones that make it, and then all of a sudden it changes, and you sort of feel like you're losing that chance of that happening, getting through to the first team. So probably say that was something where it was quite a high and then it went to a low. Since then, like I say, non-league can be just not getting the games. Like do you know what I mean? You're putting in that effort when you're doing other things outside of football, and then you're not getting the reward of it. So you go from a high of playing every week, you're enjoying your training, you're winning games, and then all of a sudden you're out the team. You're still having to go to training, but you're not playing, and it's like, you just want to be playing because you're putting a lot of effort in whilst doing all these other things around it, and you go from that ultimate high to low quickly.
And at Nottingham as well, when you were there, you said, you're playing up age groups. At the time, because obviously they're doing great now, I said it earlier on, they've got a nice bunch of players, whatever. Was there a time where you realised, like, I'm at the right club in Nottingham, they're doing some things that's going to push them on further?
Yeah, no, I definitely, like, my time at Forest was really good, and everything that they did, I thought, wow, this is like the best it can be. Like, I don't see how it can be any different apart from you obviously really big teams in the Premier League at the time, which was obviously over 2-3 years ago now. So yeah, I think everything that was there for me was the best it could be. It just obviously the timing and everything was just not right. And that's
Yeah, because sometimes like you can only do so much yourself, right? Like with everything in life, sometimes it's just about right time, right place, and it's probably working out better for you now. Maybe, you know, if you stayed at Forest, you'd just be on the bench or something. Because these things like happen, you know.
Yeah.
They bring a player up too early. Like for example, Ansu Fati. I'll just give you an example. He's obviously a great player. I love watching him and things, but some say that maybe he got brought on up the ages too early, and he's just sitting on the bench when they could send him to Baseford. Get him on the wing.
Yeah.
Get him.
Fatty at Batesford.
Wonder if the budget will stretch that far, eh?
Get him, you know, get Keith to run into
Yeah,
a couple
yeah.
times.
Yeah.
It's a better wake up than at Spain or you know. Or
No, you
fancy
definitely
ones.
getting put at the age groups. You obviously see that physical difference, and they're obviously doing it because they're trying to test you and they're trying to see how you can handle it. And some people do handle it, some people don't. Some people handle it at different times. Like I remember when I was 14, 15, I got pushed up to play in an 18s game, and at that time, the 18s, 21s was like a big thing because you're playing on the Saturday, like you're part of a league. Whereas when you're younger, you're playing games on a Sunday, maybe a Saturday, but you're just playing the games casually. So I remember that one. It was a big step up because you think of 18-year-olds these days, they're pretty big, aren't they? And when you're getting pushed up at like 14, 15, it's a whole nother level, and the speed of the game's a lot quicker. So is that obviously physical challenge when you're mixing up the age groups?
Yeah, what led to you 14, 15? How'd they call you up to the 18s?
I think
Talk to us about that.
Yeah, it's hard to remember. I just there was like 4 or 5 of us in my age group that were like overperforming, and they provided us with this opportunity. And luckily, I actually started that game, and I got subbed off for Brennan, who's now like
Brennan Johnson.
Yeah, who's now like
He's cooking
on
isn't he?
another level, and it's like you look back and think, wow,
You don't mind getting subbed off from him, do you?
yeah, no, so look back at it, like think, oh, it's okay.
Fair enough,
yeah.
Take that.
Yeah. So, like I say, they're trying to test you on that physical challenge and whether you can handle the speed of the game. Because as you get older, it gets faster. It doesn't actually get slower.
Yeah, exactly. And as you get older and older as well, things appear sometimes a bit. So you see, you know, all these old centre backs, these skinhead centre backs, they can't keep up with the pacey wingers nowadays.
Yeah.
But, yeah, and in terms of kind of as a player, right? You've obviously got your coaching career, and you've got, you know, player, non-league or semi-pro and things like that. How do you balance the two for both of you?
Yeah, so to be fair, for me, it's a case of waking up very early every day to fit everything in I want to. I've got a lot of, well, today I woke up at 5:30 and I went straight to the gym. I don't do that every day, but so there's some days, you know, where I know I've got a busy day ahead. You really do have to kind of get up and go and try and squeeze everything in, really, especially the days when you've got training. Obviously, right now it's nice because I've got my evenings free. But I've always put a priority on trying to make my workload so that I don't necessarily have to work in the evenings, because I know that I've got either training, or if I've not got training, I'll have coaching sessions, or
Something's on.
if I'm fortunate, maybe an evening off.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think balancing it is difficult, and I think giving yourself time where you can unwind and fully just stop and not do anything related to work or football is definitely necessary. For me, I use Sunday as that. I'm a Christian, so I use Sunday as a bit of a day of the Sabbath.
That's good,
Going to church, spending time with God, and I think that's been massive for me, and just being able to switch off and really just be present. And yeah,
That's good, man. It's helped me a lot as well. Obviously,
yeah,
I'm, you know, a Muslim man of God and everything.
Yeah.
It's so good that when I was at those lows, I realised that, you know, I'm fortunate to have my family near me. I'm fortunate to have, you know, places to pray, do this, do that. Because it just tells you at the end of the day, if things don't work out, you know, you have family or you have this, and you can always start again.
Yeah.
You know, try different things.
yeah.
And
I think that's the beauty of faith, isn't it? It grounds you.
exactly. And I hope so many people, unfortunately, see that, you know, once they get a little bit of fame, they forget.
Yeah,
They forget where they come from. They forget, you know, for example, I come from a council estate, obviously, in London. So you can imagine, you know, it's not the greatest area, but I've managed to escape that,
Yeah.
but I'm not going to forget where I come from.
No, of course not.
The
No.
roughness. And
No.
with you guys as well, obviously it's a bit personal, but growing up, did you have kind of places that, you know, you're lucky to kind of escape out of, and was SFK in football your kind of escape into doing better things?
Yeah, I wouldn't say I necessarily had to escape too much.
Not as dramatic as
Yeah, not
escape the clutches.
I mean, I grew up in Loughborough, so it's not really as drastic as growing up in London. There's not quite as much crime or as danger as you might face every day in London. But definitely, I think I definitely escaped, you know, groups of people who could have definitely led me down a bad path. I think that's probably the main thing for me. I grew up in a family that was always quite stable, which I'm really blessed to be in. We never had much money, but we got by and it was fine. You know, didn't have to worry about everyday things like, you know, meals on the table and that too much, which was brilliant. And I think my mum and dad were brilliant in, you know, sheltering me from maybe some of the struggles that they had. But I think, yeah, really for me growing up, I think if I escaped anything, I escaped complacency and just trying to fit in with people that, you know, they want to go and just sell drugs or they want to go and get involved in that sort of thing because it looks cool at the time. And I think staying away from that and really trying to crack on with football and then a career and building something for yourself that sets you and your future generations up for a lifestyle that is, you know, attractive and that is blessed is something I think that I've overcome for sure.
Sell drills, not drugs.
Yeah, man. Yeah, sell drills, not drugs. That's a good one, that. Yeah.
And I think also, obviously, because you guys, this is kind of a special episode. This is a new niche for me.
Yeah.
The people I talk to, I think I've told you before, it's just, you know, footballers, the occasional boxer or athlete, and that's about it, or a coach, but not business. This is kind of my first side, and I want to get into that more.
Yeah, of course.
And in terms of kind of a business mindset, I saw this video earlier on some guy talking about it. It was like, the best thing that could happen to you is being born, as a man, is being born, you know, down here. Because the journey is actually nice, because the worst thing that could happen as a parent is if obviously you're well off and then you have a child who's just spoiled. Right? He just has everything at his feet. He doesn't know the value of hard work.
Yeah.
And with you guys starting your business, was there times where you were, you know, deep, don't want to sound cringy here, but deep down in the trenches, you know, working hard with no resources, minimal resources, and building something?
Yeah, I think coming on board, I think from the start, you never come into something and have a good salary when you're doing stuff in sport, because I think sport's very saturated and there's only so much money within it. I think coming on board and then, you know, earning very minimal.
Enough to get by,
just about, but doing it because you love it and because you see the long term. I think that's always, for me, where it started, and I think that's always how I've found my hunger to just push on has come from not necessarily financial gain, but seeing how I can prove to myself,
scale up.
Yeah, how can I scale all this? How can we improve and know? How can we look at taking things to the next level? And I think coming from a position where, you know, you only just get by to then working hard and earning more of a financial stability is a great first step. And I think taking that then to the next level is something that's really, really exciting.
Yeah.
I mean, I obviously only came on about a year ago into SFK, so even from then I've seen a massive improvement in all the different projects that we're offering. And like I said, when I came on then, I thought like all the camps and everything were like run brilliantly, and there's so much positive feedback from parents and kids. And then now to see where we're at now, providing all these other projects that we're aiming to do in the long-term future, it's brilliant to see.
Yeah, and what kind of things are coming up in the future with you guys, you know, because obviously you're expanding, you know, if you're coming on a podcast, I mean, it's the next big thing, right?
Yeah.
So what things are you looking forward to do with SFK?
So yeah, when we spoke earlier briefly about pre-season programs, that's probably the immediate thing that we're looking at doing over this period of the off-season. Me and Joel are actually heading off to Dubai in a week's time because we're doing some work out there. We've done some work out there previously as well, and I think for me that's one of the most exciting projects, because I think being able to travel with work and go and see the world and meet new people and connect with new people, I think it's just a blessing to be able to do that. And I think that all the work that we're doing there is really exciting, and I think project-wise, that would be probably one of the top on my list in terms of what I'm excited about. And I think even just for next season, we've got a lot planned. We want to do a lot, and we want to really kick on now. So we're opening a performance centre next season that's going to be aimed at that gap of players who might not be quite academy ready, but they're too good for their grassroots team, let's say. And we're going to work with those players on a weekly basis and give them opportunity to go and play against academies and showcase their ability. And I think next season that's going to be a big step for us, because it's just another string to our bow that really strengthens our model of what we've got building.
Yeah.
Yeah, touching on that performance centre, so we're going to be looking at the age groups from under 7 to under 11. And the main focus with that, like I say, is trying to help these players at that very young age take that next step in their journey, because it's always better to help someone earlier down the line, and then later down the line then they can use that they've learnt when they're younger. And yeah, with these performance centres, it will just be a case of getting top level coaching, different understanding of the game, and like I say, we've got models and everything to back up kind of what we're doing. So we're not just going off just what we know. We've put in a lot of time and effort to really put this together, and hopefully come the start of next season, it will, like I say, kick on, and we could really show people what we're about.
Get the ball rolling.
Yeah.
100%.
And with the showcase, so that word gets thrown around a lot.
Yeah.
What is it actually?
So over the weekend on the 5th and 6th of July, we've partnered with a club from Dubai called TFA Elite, who are playing the 3rd division in the UAE. They're coming over, so they're going to bring some of their managers, the first team manager, their scouts, their coaching team. They're going to come and deliver training sessions on the first day with different drills and then small-sided games. And the aim of them coming over is to deliver these drills and look at players from the UK who potentially might be good enough to go and play for their first team. So they want players who are going to be up to their level to then get a trial with them, and they're going to go over, have a 30-day expenses paid trial, and then from that, the players that have done well will then have a professional contract at the end of it as an offer. So again, it's just a brilliant experience for us to be involved with, and to really just strengthen what we're doing. And I think being able to partner with clubs like TFA it's been fantastic. That's something we set up when we were in Dubai in November. And again, we're going to go over there to go and deepen that relationship that we've got with them, and look at other ways of connecting and other projects we might be able to do with them in the future. But I think the showcase is really exciting for that reason, because it's not just about us and what we can do, but it's about bringing opportunities to players that are in the Midlands. There might be lads that have never had an opportunity to go and play abroad, but this is their opportunity now, and it's just about them going and taking it and getting recognised for the ability that they might have. And I think it's exciting to be able to provide that platform for players. Because I wish that was something I had when I was their age. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's for players aged 17 plus. So if I was 17, 18 and I had that on my doorstep, I would have snapped your hand off at that as an opportunity.
Okay. Might bring my brother then.
Yeah. Bring him through, mate. Bring him through.
Yeah, and that's big as well. From the Midlands to Dubai, that's quite a big jump.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's the kind of the beautiful thing about the internet nowadays, especially, is you can literally, doesn't matter where you are. You could be in Thailand. I could be in Thailand just running things off a laptop, just doing things online.
Yeah.
As long as you have that hunger to meet people, connect with them.
Yeah.
Like the guests, I remember my first 2 guests, they were boxers from Australia, big in Australia, and that just opened the entire Australia continent before I even got to England.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Like the people that I spoke to first were from Australia, not England. So that just shows that, if you open up and you're hungry, you're going to expand to Dubai. You've obviously partnered with, clubs in Dubai and everything. And what do you want to get out of that? Going abroad, do you want to expand your coaching to internationally, or?
Yeah, I think we've always been set on making what we do a global thing. I don't think we're ever going to be, satisfied with just being a small company that runs within Leicester and Loughborough area and the Midlands. And I think growing from that and seeing that as our starting point, and always appreciating that was where we started and that's our roots, but really branching that to become something that's so much bigger and can influence more people's lives. I think that's exactly what we want to get from it. So taking a step out to Dubai and then potentially other countries in the future as well, I think it's just a great way to just take that leap of faith and just go for it and try something. And if it doesn't work, we gave it a go.
Try again.
And I think so far it's been brilliant, and I think there's only going to be fruit that bears from this.
Yeah.
How do you scale up? Because I'm asking this question to you guys as well, because obviously you're doing something right.
Yeah.
From from Midlands to Dubai,
Yeah.
partnering with clubs all over. How do you kind of scale up and expand a company?
I think you need the right people on board. I think that's probably the most important part, because you can only do so much off your own accord. And I think having a team of people, so it doesn't necessarily mean you have to employ people, but having a group of people around you who's a good network that you can bump heads with, that you can bounce ideas off and, you know, try different projects and work together in partnership or in the same, you know, in the same career, literally same role, same job, whatever. I think having people there to support you and do that with you is massive. But I think scaling wise, in a business sense, you need to have clear timelines and business models of what you want to do.
I'd say like strategies to actually get to that point. So you're obviously not just going to go from here to there. There's all those steps in between. So like I say, planning those out, having deadlines of when you want to achieve this by. Yeah. It's a good setup for everyone who's working on it to look at and all be on the same page.
Yeah, I need to go to Dubai then, find a partner in crime.
Yeah.
Get that out.
I'm sure there'll be loads out there.
There'll be loads, mate. Yeah.
Loads of podcasts. Like everyone. I say this to
everyone.
you guys. Everyone and their nan has a podcast.
Yeah.
You just need to stand out, just like you guys are standing out with your coaching.
Yeah.
Loads of coaching businesses.
Well, just like seconding on like the showcase and having this partnership with the Dubai team, like coming out of academies and non-league players, it's like I say, it's a great opportunity to try something different, possibly playing abroad, because you don't always get that opportunity and people don't always provide it. So having it, and like I say, we're grateful for the partnership and being able to provide this for the players, but you don't necessarily always find these opportunities. So it's something I mean, we're excited to see how it goes on, and like I say, for all the future bits we have planned with Dubai.
Yeah. And let's move on to the kind of end section, which is the kind of Q&A, just kind of rapid fire questions. So the first one for each of you to answer is, what's kind of one advice through, because both of you have similar yet different experiences, right?
Yeah.
What's one kind of advice from everything you've gone through that you'd like to give to people watching? It's just the average guy and also the young footballer watching you guys.
Good question. I think my first answer is to work hard, and I think it's so boring and everyone always answers with that, but I think it really is to work hard. But I think to second that, I think it's to learn discipline and to learn how to discipline yourself in many areas of life. I think when you learn the art of discipline, you are forced to be reckoned with in anything that you do, because you will stick to tasks that you set yourself. You'll stick to your word, you'll stick to your habits, you'll stick to anything you put your mind to. And I think it's always discipline over motivation. I think when you're disciplined and you can live and stick to the goals that you've set and the tasks you've got each day, you will just see a compound interest of growth. And I think that discipline is key to that.
It's like a droplet in rock. Like eventually the rock's going to
100%.
break just from a little drip.
Yeah.
I would say just keep developing like each layer within yourself. So you never know like when one of those layers might be needed for an opportunity like down the line in your career. So I'd say like expand, broaden like different things you might come across in life, like whether that's learning something new, a new skill, like reaching out, doing something out of your comfort zone, because then when you then come back to your step and where you're at, you'll then appreciate what you've done there and use it for anything that you need in the future. So yeah, definitely just try and really build up those layers within yourself.
Yeah. And the second question is, out of your experiences, kind of who's the best player you've played with, and what's your experience with them? Did you know that they were going to be the next hot shot?
Oh, that's a good question again. I'll let you go first. I'm going to have some time to think on that.
Well, I mean, obviously I mentioned earlier that I was quite fortunate with my age group growing up at Forest. Like all of us, 10, 12 of us got through from a young age all the way through to the second B team level. Yeah. And obviously one person to come out of that was obviously Brennan Johnson, who's at Tottenham Hotspur now. And yeah, you kind of just always knew that he was going to be the one to do it. And thankfully I was like a really close friend of his growing up. So it's nice to see him. We still keep in touch now. So it's nice to see someone like that performing to the levels, and obviously he's in the final tomorrow.
Yeah.
No, big day for him. Man.
Yeah, so all the best to him for that, and yeah, it's just like I say, it's really nice to see.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I think through my academy days, like, there wasn't anyone really that really did push on too much. But I think from playing non-league, there's been a lot of like ex-pros that I've then played with. So people like Paul Anderson, I played with him at Melton, and then a lad called Daniel Trickett-Smith. Again, not pros that many people know about, but I think when I played with them, there's just a clear difference in their ability and their class.
On their day.
On their day, yeah, they're just, you can't get near them. So I think, yeah, they've been players I've been definitely impressed by playing with.
Yeah. You come across a lot of those ex-pros in the non-league, and you think like, are they like, they haven't got it anymore because they're obviously playing at this level, but
Yeah,
you then realise they still have got it.
Yeah. And it's just they just want to take out anger on.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
that's another reason why young players should like come and play in the non-league. You get to play with these ex-pros that have played at like Man City, all these top teams, and you learn so much of them, even though they're not necessarily as physically able as what they were back then when they were in like their younger days, but you still learn loads of them.
yeah.
It's experience.
Just their knowledge and experience of playing the game, it's
I think-
unbelievable.
I think you'll find as well a lot of the lads that have then dropped down from playing professionally to then playing non-league at the back end of their careers, they're normally really, really good guys as well.
Yeah,
I've
they're
found
very
that
helpful.
they're very, very humble, because if they weren't, they wouldn't have gone and played non-league again. They'll just go and chase the next, big money contract like a lot of players do, even at the back end of their career. I think a lot of the guys that could drop down, they're ex-pros, they genuinely just have a lot to give to the younger lads and to the teammates, and I think they've got that desire to still win, so they're always going to do what they can to build up the young lads around them. And I think it's brilliant to learn off lads that have got experience, because you can learn so much.
So when you're playing, you notice when they're playing. When they're not playing, you notice when they're not playing. Like, that's how much of an influence they have as like playing with them.
Yeah,
Uncle wisdom. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Like, everything they've gone through,
Yeah.
they just want to pass it on.
yeah.
But yeah, it's been a great episode.
Yeah.
I think we learned a lot.
Definitely.
Obviously, the business side, the football side,
Yeah.
experiences, the highs, the lows. So thank you guys. You want to say one thing to camera? Obviously, say that, what you want them to take out of it. Because everyone that I bring on for a reason, right? They
Yeah.
have a message. Their experiences have to get them out there, right?
Yeah.
So what's one thing you want to say? You've said it before, obviously, but out of your experiences, what's like one thing, if you had to narrow it down, one thing to take out of it, what would it be?
Good question again. See, I'm not somebody that wants to give quick answers that that's not
have a
meaningful.
think,
So I'm gonna have a think. Have you got anything?
Putting it all on them.
I would just say like any of those negatives that you've had in your life, just like push them down and try and like think of a positive to come out of it. Like, there's so many opportunities out there that you don't realise, but sometimes it just takes a bit of socialising, networking, and like you say, you never know kind of what opportunities might fall your way. Like, sometimes we have weeks where it's very quiet, and then all of a sudden we have a week where we've got too much stuff to handle, and it's like, I'd say just, like I say, going back to a little bit earlier, like broaden those layers within yourself, and then, do you know what I mean, people around you, it will then come of use.
Yeah. I'd say probably one of the main things I'd say for people to take away from it is be to other people what you want them to be to you. And I think when you do that, you see the world, and in my belief, God work in crazy ways that you would never imagine. And I think you put out to the world what you want to receive from it. And I think always being kind and genuine with people and honest, and always giving people your undivided attention and your care and your love. I think that's massive for me. And I think if anyone could take something out of it, I would advise you to do that yourself as well.
If I'm quoting it correctly, do good and good will come.
Exactly, yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for watching. Hopefully I've done good to you. So do good to me. Make sure to obviously show support. If you've learned something, obviously try and apply it, because the people bringing there the top 1%. And I mean that when I say top 1%, because you don't see many young guys doing, balancing football and balancing a business and everything like that. So obviously, hope you've learned something, and thank you for watching. Goodbye.
Alhamdulillah. Always. Fino Rosh. Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah.